guys, welcome back. This has been a wild week and we have a wild animal in our house right now. Do you want to meet it? Him? I think it's a him. We have a name for it. I'll just save that for the end of the video because I don't know how much longer I have until my kids wake up. But we're doing a Q&A today. You guys asked me some questions and I'm gonna answer them. But if you're new here, my name is Emily Garvey, and on this channel I share my love for thrifting and DIY and how we're using those to transform our 1970s home. I just shared our patio makeover. Thank you all so much for all of your comments on it. It was a labor of love and so much sweat. I'm just so happy to be done with that for a little while. We're gonna get back to it. We want to do like some furniture out there and maybe some market lights out there, just make it into a really beautiful place for us to entertain and everything, but it's already very functional if it was just like a little smidge cooler. So let's answer some questions, shall we? Okay. First question is, did my husband and I grew up in Florida? And yes, we both did. But he grew up down like more south in Tampa, and then I grew up in Tallahassee. So like imagine palm trees and then like live oaks is where I grew up. And so we met kind of in the middle when we went to the University of Florida together. We were in the same like grade, the same classes, everything pretty much, because he was studying to go to medical school and I was studying to go to PT school. So we were able to do that. Praise the Lord. It was a lot of work. I'm so glad to be done with it. He graduated, so his school was 4 years. My doctorate was only 3 years. So I graduated in 2020 and then he graduated in 2022 after taking a little gap year. So he is now in his residency, and someone asked what his specialty is. Yes, that is a good question. I'm always a little bit like hesitant to share too much about his job, even just share too much about him, just because of the, I guess like the delicate nature of what he does. But I did get his permission and he said I could just share very simply, he's in psychiatry. So it is definitely a job that requires him to use his heart and his mind all day with his patients, and I'm extremely proud of him for doing it. And before he started this career in this residency program, I really had no idea like the extent of what families can go through and the burden that mental health can be, the life-altering, family-altering dynamics that it can cause. So I am extremely proud of him for what he does. But anyway, let's move on. Somebody asked how we live on such a tight budget. So you might think because my husband is a doctor that we have a lot of money, like that. I would think so, but that is definitely not the case. So if you're familiar with residency, it is very different than being a full-fledged attending physician. So residency, you're still in school. So he's in his second year of residency out of 4. So we have 3 more years of this, and you are paid very, very minimally. With like the hours, once you add it all up, it's like minimum wage because he works a lot more hours than just 40 hours a week. And can be like really high some weeks, and then it can be like very like okay and normal. You just never know. Like I never know if he's going to make it home for dinner, that kind of thing. Oh my gosh. Last week, I invited 4 families over. Thankfully, some of our best friends, like they get it. Like there was no, like, I didn't have to put on a show for them, to entertain them. But 4 of them to entertain them, make all the food, get the house clean, get the boys ready and stuff. Dominic did not get home until 10:30. Like all of the families had already left. That's just our life right now. It's just a little chaotic because of his schedule, honestly. So how do we budget on such a tight salary? So I looked up I was kind of like, I don't know, do we live on such a tight budget? And I guess I've just always been used to it because we've never had the opportunity to have like a higher budget because we've always been in school, having a kid, and then like residency salary, and like only on one income. I've worked, and then when he started working, I stopped working. So we're kind of just like used to it. But I looked up what a family of 4 needs to live off of, like I just Googled it. The number that they had was about double what we live off of. So I guess we are living on a small budget. But you know, I think that we do things a little bit differently than most people, I guess. Like we don't eat out. We eat out with family if they take us out to dinner, but we do not eat out. And then I follow some of the principles from Jordan Page. So she's a creator on Instagram and YouTube and stuff. So she has a family of now, I want to say 8 children, and they started off like very low income, starting their business and stuff. And so she suggests that you should be able to spend $100 per person per month on groceries, and then budget yourself one meal out. We don't really eat out. We just don't find time to do that. So I usually try to spend like $120 per week on our groceries, since there's 4 people in our family. And that's everything. That's like diapers, wipes, paper towels, toilet paper, cleaning stuff, like all the food, everything. I do that by going to the grocery store once, and I found Aldi to be the best, but I also sometimes can spend too much there because there's like stuff that looks interesting, like the seasonal stuff. So sometimes I just go do like the Walmart pickup order so that I can stay to the budget and I know exactly what it's going to be. So that's helped me. Jordan Page is great if you need some like really good, like I think her thing is called like budget boot camp, and it's like pretty intense. I didn't actually do the program. I've just like watched some of her videos on budgeting and stuff, and they've been helpful to me. Oh, and then also with budgeting, someone mentioned, do I budget my thrift trips? So in a way I do. So I kind of go in thinking like $20 is like kind of where I want to spend. I'm probably going to spend less than that most of the trips, and then maybe a little bit more than that sometimes. But the way thrifting works is like you never really know what you're going to find. Like, and you have to be ready to just walk away if there's nothing there. But I will say, now that I've started this YouTube channel and have started making a little bit of money with this, I kind of know how much my thrifting videos might make. At the beginning of when I was starting to make money off those thrifting videos, I can tell you it was around like $5 per video is what I made. I know that might shock you guys. Maybe you think I make a lot of money doing this, but now that number has actually increased a little bit. So to give you an idea of it, I mean, this is like, you could Google this if you wanted, but you make per 1,000 views a chunk of money. So some people, if they are making really long videos or their videos have like a ton of ads in them, they can make like $30 per 1,000 views. That is not my case. Also, your audience, like what they are interested in, like if it's more like businessy things where people are more likely to purchase business things, I've heard that they have a higher CPM is what it's called. But my CPM, which is my money that I get for each like 1,000 views, is about $7. So you can kind of think about like how much effort it goes into a video, and it might make me like a little bit sad, but honestly, I don't see it like that at all. Like I don't see the work that I'm doing for these YouTube videos as like time that I should be compensated for, because it's just fun to me. I just enjoy it. And so with that said, the money that I'm making on these YouTube videos now, like that's my thrifting budget. Like I am so excited to have that little extra cushion, because we really didn't have that when he started residency in the fall, like of last year. It was like really, really tight. But like, it's such a blessing when you don't have a lot, a little something, even if it's like $50 a week of extra income, it feels like a lot. So I think that I hope that I will always be more grateful for like the money that we are able to make because of the time that it's taken us to get there. This is taking way too long on this question, so let's move on. This was a good question. So somebody asked, how can you be content with this space when you're trying to finish it with like thrifted items, but you can't finish it because you can't find it? And I would add to that, and you know that you could purchase it new, but it wouldn't like be as good. So I just remember the examples in my home that I have regretted that have been purchased new. So one example that I have, and I'm working on a bedroom makeover, so you'll see these soon probably, is our nightstands. I wanted 2 matching nightstands, and it's hard for sometimes to find those thrifted. I mean, now that I have purchased them new, I find them thrifted all the time. But at the time, I was having a really hard time finding them. So I just got some at Target, and they were like pretty expensive for me, $100 each. And now I like feel like I can't get rid of them because I purchased them new and they were like perfect, but they're nothing special, you know? So I look back at those times when I am now looking for other pieces like a dining room table that I really would like to replace, and I could just buy it new. I mean, a dining room table is a lot more expensive, so probably couldn't actually buy it new with our finances, but I try to remember those times of like past failures, you know, and use that to kind of motivate me to keep looking for the perfect thing, because it is out there and that hunt is part of it. It takes time. It is definitely hard to wait, especially when you like want to entertain people and you want to have stuff done. But I've gotten pretty content, honestly, maybe a little too content with having things not finished in our home, and just, this is what it is right now. This is, yeah, there's still spots on the trim that need to be repainted and touched up and stuff, but it's okay. That is okay in my book. So I hope that answers that question. Let's move on. The next one is, when was your first YouTube video and has it made you more creative making these videos? This is interesting. So my first YouTube video was actually not on this channel. I used to have a old channel that was for travel vlogs. It was not meant for like other people to watch. It was purely for me and my friends and my family. So I just made vlogs of any of our vacations. So family vacations, trips with friends. We used to go on like road trips and like hiking and stuff in college. So I had so much fun learning how to edit, and I just did it all on my phone. I still just do that. And so it was just fun, like creative, to figure things out with the editing itself, which I love, and I'm like loving learning more about now. And then also just having these memories to look back on. And I think having this channel has been pushing me, because not that I really want other people to like think of me as like more creative or whatever, but it pushes me because I look at my content and I'm like, I just want to be better. Each video, I want it to be better. I want to be a little embarrassed of like the first videos that I posted, because that means I've gotten better. And I think that applies to a lot of things in our life. Like if we just start things like cooking, I'm trying to get better at cooking right now and making my own bread. So if I can just do it right now, sure, in a year, like this might be embarrassing, but that would be the best thing in the world. If I can get to that point where this is like, this dish is like, oh, kind of like would laugh at, that's not gonna happen. Because I am sure I'm not gonna have that much time, but I think it does push me and challenge me, and I absolutely love having this channel. This is a good question. Someone asked, do I miss working outside the home? So I think I mentioned in this video already, I was working as a physical therapist before staying home starting in March. So I was working full time, and then I was doing like 1 day a week ever since Benji was born. It was just a really good setup. I had coworkers that I loved. It was just, I mean, I was working with awesome patients, and it was just a good environment and everything that I was super fortunate to have. But now I'm staying home, and it was rough when we started. I have a little like core group of friends, and it was, they saw me at my lowest during that time. And one of them, who had stayed home maybe like a year more than I had like at that point, she told me, like, it's gonna take you 6 months to get into the rhythm, into a routine. I think it's been about like 5 months now, and now Gideon just went back to school, so it's like a whole new thing. But I think that she was exactly right. It takes time to figure it out. I think my identity was really wrapped up in my work, even though I didn't view it like that. I didn't think that I did. But then I came home and was like, this is all I have. Like, I have to have a clean house because I'm a homemaker. Like, of course, but the thing is the more you're home, the messier your house will be, the dirtier it gets. So yeah, you're not gonna have a clean house as a homemaker unless you're cleaning all the time. And I'm not gonna do that, honestly. My kids are too much fun to play with, and making YouTube videos and doing creative stuff is much more enjoyable than cleaning all the time. So that's a choice that I'm making. Going back to the question, I do enjoy being home and not working outside of the house, but I have to find coworkers. This has been so important to me, and I've found some here, like other stay-at-home moms, but those things need to be like consistent and scheduled in, just like meetings, like the Wednesday meetings, like staff meetings you would have out of the house. Like those things matter, those rhythms matter, and having people who relate to you in this season of life, being home and socialized is so, so important. So I hope that answers that question. Okay, I really want to go check on our animal. So I think this will be the last question, and that is, who are your favorite design blogs and or YouTube channels? I'm glad you asked. So my favorite designer right now is Amber Interiors. So Amber Lewis, and then her company is Amber Interiors. I've mentioned this a bunch of times. I have her book somewhere around. I was just looking at it, and I absolutely love her style because I think it matches the style of our home. That is what I have realized while transforming this home is so important. Consistency with like the architecture of your home and sticking to it so that everything feels cohesive. This home would not make sense with like a coastal or farmhouse. Like it just wouldn't make sense because we have the arches in the front of our house. There's like we're putting the Spanish like tile in the bathrooms, and we're gonna have some more throughout the house, some pattern tile. I want it all to be consistent, and that is what I think Amber Lewis does really well. She designs in California, so there's a lot of the Spanish influence in her design work, and she incorporates a lot of modern pieces mixed with older pieces. I love her use of mixed woods and just like natural materials. That's with any design. Like if you want to elevate your home, there's so many things I could tell you because this is like, I am passionate about it. But the number one thing is just having a mixture of natural fibers and materials in your home, and it instantly ups your home. It just looks so much better. So I'm slowly working on that in this home. Honestly, most of the things that I have gotten are like natural materials. I'm just working on getting more like variety and a cohesive color palette right now. So she's one of my favorites, as well as here on YouTube. I love watching Exo McKenna just for how creative she is and how like bold she is with how many DIYs she takes on. Not that I will ever be able to do that as a mom. I mean, once my kids are grown up, I could totally see myself doing more projects like that, but I just love watching her tackle projects. And so her style is a little bit more like refined, I guess. Traditional, I guess. And so she's not my favorite for her actual style, but I love watching her for her like thought process, if that makes sense. For style wise, probably my favorite on YouTube is Lone Fox. And if you don't know Lone Fox, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You definitely need to know Lone Fox. So I love how he incorporates like modern trends into his style and everything, but his home is Spanish Revival, also in California, in LA. And so I think that like I relate well to that in this home that we're in right now, just because we're trying to make it more Spanish and everything. But I really like how he incorporates different trends like early. So he's like on top of it with the trends. So he's going with some Art Deco stuff, a lot of like global influences right now. And those are things that I want to take a look at. I like knowing trends before they're mainstream, like everywhere in Target, because then of course I like it because it's what's everywhere, right? But looking at it objectively before I like see it everywhere, I hope this is making sense. It just helps me figure out what I actually like. And like, I'm a young person, I'm still trying to figure out what I like in my home, but that has kind of helped me. I hope that you all enjoyed this little Q&A. Do you want to go meet my new pet? I don't know if I can call it a pet. I'm just gonna bring it over here so that I don't have to move the tripod. Not an it, it's a he. It's a he. It has a name. I'll tell you the name. Let me go get him. Okay. Is your curiosity piqued? Y'all are either going to think I am insane or I don't know what. So, still alive. Honestly, guys, I'm not. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if he was still gonna be alive. So this morning I was walking inside after dropping Gideon off. It's so warm and cozy in here, and looked out in the grass, and look who I found. Can you see him? I don't want to hold him out here outside of the heating pad for too long, but look. You might not know what this is. I should explain. This is a baby squirrel. I raised a baby squirrel, 2 baby squirrels with my parents. Pretty much they raised it. I mean, you have to feed these babies every 2 hours. So this is like a commitment. But we raised them when we were in Tallahassee. They fall out of their trees here in Florida because we get such like bad wind during storms. And I mean, this baby is just less than 2 weeks old because he doesn't have any fur on him. His eyes haven't opened yet. He did like let out a little scream earlier today because I took him out of his blanket and I think he got really cold. But we got some puppy formula and have been like feeding him. And then you have to like stroke their little downstairs to get them to go potty. And it's a commitment, guys. I think we are probably going to take him to a wildlife center that my mother-in-law called this morning and would take him. And so I think that that's probably the best thing for him. But I have to break that news to our 4-year-old who has fallen in love with Zippy. He named him Zippy. So I'll update you guys. Follow me on Instagram at EEGarby if you want to find out what happens to baby Zippy. He's so precious. Okay, guys, well, I'm gonna go and try to feed Zippy again with some formula, and I'll keep you guys posted. But I didn't ramble too much. Yeah, you can let me know if you have any questions or if you had no idea what animal this was when I showed you. Somebody on my Instagram said he looked like a hippo. Kind of. All right, guys, I hope you have a very blessed week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.